Yeah.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. What is this?
Oh, in the chute,
And this is where what happens?
we have Kaylin, our lovely offspring, ask a question, and then Dad, Brandon, or me, Lisa, will answer. He tries not to get me on video often because
This.
things
This
like
is
this
why.
happen. Anywho, welcome to Hashknife Ranch in the chute.
In 2008, there was there was a presidential election where a word was used frequently, and I think it appropriately describes you right now, and it's called maverick. We have a maverick on the show who just throws everything willy-nilly and gets me completely left
All
field of
flustered.
of where
So,
we should
Kaylin,
be.
how did this work out when you were my student?
Not great. All right, moving on though. The question for this round, goodness gracious. Can you believe we've done 139 of these episodes?
Wow.
But
Wow.
139 is your magic number if you are a whiskey connoisseur like we like to describe ourselves. So the question is, what is your favorite whiskey on the ranch?
You're not talking to me.
Oh, this is why I wanted Mom on here. She went to bourbon country and tried all sorts of bourbons and found out she does in fact enjoy whiskey on occasion, but it has to have a minimum price tag of $800. So
It was not.
The one you liked was $800.
There were some others that were okay that were cheaper.
I was home working and you guys are
300.
drinking whiskey and she's buying
A lot of
my
stuff.
credit card kept tattling on her on my
Ta-ting,
phone. I'm like,
ta-ting, ta-ting,
Jesus.
ta-ting.
Yes.
I told him before I left, I said, you know, this is going to be expensive. And you're going to be going
It
ding,
was.
ding, ding every time I
was the host and it was still expensive for me. But yeah.
I tried to offset
What
some
was
of
her
that.
What was her favorite whiskey? That $800 bottle. She didn't buy
No,
just
had a
or she wouldn't be here. They'd be
had a
looking for the
taste.
body by now.
Right.
No, sir.
They found out she was missing.
No, and then when I said, "Hey, Brandon, this is for you," he'd be like, "Oh, honey, you love me so much."
No, I wouldn't. I'd say,
this
"What
was-
are you
it was-
doing? Are you out of your mind?"
It was this
It's true.
one. Nope, that's not it. I'm Googling real quick and I think I know which one it was. Yeah, this is about right. It was the very old Saint Nick bourbon,
That's
12-year-old
preservation.
bourbon from Preservation Distillery. If anybody gets a
sounds right.
chance to go to Bardstown, Kentucky, it's a craft distiller and it's
Neat
absolutely
little
fantastic.
place. Yeah.
It's a unique way, a unique spin on how bourbon is produced, and it happened to go about accidentally, honestly. But I'm not going to pitch that. I'm going to say go to Bardstown, Kentucky, check out Preservation Distillery. It's an awesome find, awesome experience.
Beautiful spot.
It is beautiful, and you get to try some amazing bourbon that would otherwise be outside your price range. So for a mere, $20-$30 a person, you can try an $800 bottle, a $300 bottle, and a $100 bottle, and you're gonna have absolute fun doing it. So Mom did enjoy those ones. They were pretty smooth, but I wanted to ask, what are the favorite whiskeys on the ranch?
It used to be the cheapest you could get that still was tasted okay.
And then he had a kid that went off in a lake world and came back with an enlightened sense of.
It's really a shame Grandpa decided to die on us, because he would have enjoyed you and your whiskey.
Especially if he didn't have to buy it.
Yeah, especially
exactly if I would have brought the bottle.
he would have totally enjoyed that.
No, having you learn about some other whiskeys and start drinking something that's really good is like, oh, that is hard to go back. It is way hard. And we're not mixing these with anything. You can put any kind of harsh whiskey
if you want.
Yeah, but just a taste and the different tastes. I didn't realize early on, for the first 55 years of my life, that whiskeys had distinct taste when you drank them neat. And it's like, oh my goodness.
And then you put an ice cube in it, it totally changed it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That was wild to me.
Well, if anybody doesn't understand, but they do understand beer, just think craft beer is whiskey. It's the exact same way.
Yeah, it is. It's just all these different tastes, and I actually enjoy it. And you don't have to drink a lot of it. I mean, you just sip on it, and
I enjoy doing samples with you and Braden a lot of times. Mom will do a blind pour for us, and we'll figure out which ones we like, and then we really find out which ones we truly like for flavor, instead of looking at the bottle and being like, oh, I like that one. We found on occasion the ones that we thought were going to do well did not in the blind taste test.
Well, and then I've become more accustomed to drinking scotches, which I just couldn't drink Scotch, but I think it's because I learned to drink whiskey and looking for the tastes of it. And so now you just have a different taste with the peats,
Right.
with the Scotches, and I've kind of learned to appreciate that. So
this is
there's
kind
that.
of a long way from your Annie Greensprings days.
Annie Greensprings was so the girls would come with you.
Oh,
That's wine. That was screw top wine, and that was the cheapest
But-
stuff in the world. These guys have probably never heard of Annie Greensprings.
No, never have until just
Annie
now.
Greensprings, and what was the best? You remember
best.
the best flavor?
Oh, I have no idea. I don't think I've had it.
Oh, that's right. I married a goody two shoes.
Annie Greensprings brand to return to market. That was interesting.
Strawberry Hill.
Oh, there's that song, Strawberry Hill.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
That all just
anyway,
looks
Well,
horrible.
look at that. I learned something today.
there you did.
Yeah.
That's because you're just too dang. You
Huh.
were always in church all the time, weren't you?
Yeah, that was
That was it.
Yeah.
Well, you just weren't out carousing around like
No.
some of the girls I used to. Never
Browse
mind.
around with.
Never
yeah.
mind. Anyway, I have discovered in the last couple of years, besides the scotches, that I really like ryes.
Mm.
Yep.
You
You and I discovered that together when you helped me move in here.
Yeah,
I
it's like
think that's
rye.
what
That,
we
man,
bought
this
for
tastes
him,
sweeter.
wasn't it?
You did a lot of ryes for me.
Primarily rice.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I really really enjoy the ryes. So
I think honestly, from my perspective, I enjoy the ryes. I don't have nearly as many of them as I should on my bar. It's mostly bourbon, but I'm also in like the heart of bourbon country, so I gotta take as many as I can.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I like the bourbons too, but those
Yeah.
ryes just have a. I don't
To
know,
me,
just
the
that
ryes
sweetness
do
about
tend
them.
to be sweeter, but they're
Yeah.
also I get more of like a full body grain kind of
Yep.
feel to it. That's
More
the only
flavors to 'em.
explanation I can do for people. And to me, I think that's why I enjoy it so much, because of that full body. It reminds me more of the darker beers, which I tend to like too. So
Yeah.
that's kind of why I think I push towards that.
So you're gonna have to remind me, because we drink so many whiskeys when you're home.
Well,
I mean, we
think
and it's not
Patton's
like we
one of
drink
the
a
top
ton, but
ones.
we drink a lot of taste of different varieties.
Patton's got to be
Patton's
one
a
of them.
good one. I like
And Patton's a cane spirit. Found out it's not
Yeah.
actually a bourbon or
It's not
anything
really
like that.
bourbon.
It's not whiskey. It's a cane spirit.
Yep.
Buffalo Trace is always up there. People will say
Buffalo
one
Trace.
of our favorites that because it's so expensive, but it's really good. I buy it on occasion is Angel's Envy Rye. Truly love that one. It's finished in a port cask from it, or no, that's the rum cask. That's
I
the
think
rum
it's the
cask.
rum cast.
Well, and
let me-
I just described that to a guy that we're going to be doing some training here in a few months, and I just saw him the other day. And
Yeah,
I said,
rum
"I love
cask.
it." A rum cask.
Yep.
Yeah. I said we're gonna have to get together, when we're at this training, and we'll usually sit around, a bunch of us and guys that were working before, a bunch of us are ex-wardens and doing another gig now, and we get together and we're gonna sit around and have a little bit of just a little bit of whiskey. And I said, I'm gonna bring you. I said, do you ever taste Angel's Envy? He goes, never heard of it. And he goes, oh, I'll bring that. That'll make you cry for your mama,
Might have a convert.
Yeah. So
Well, and it's funny too. It's disappointing. Part of the reason why it's so expensive is because they produce a lot, but they're a very small distillery.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the reason too, is I'm in the heart of bourbon country. I'm trying to collect as much as I can now, because by the time I get back to Montana, it's
You won't
not
get
going
it.
to be available anymore.
Well, and that's a tough one. Now, Four Roses, I really enjoy Four Roses
That's
too.
a good solid one. Well, and
Yep.
here's the thing too, going on the whiskey tastings, Mom tried Four Roses with me. She did not like it, but it reminded me and Braden why we do grab Four Roses on occasion, because it is a good quality bourbon for us personally. But
I'm not spending thousands of dollars on a bottle for like
No,
Pappy Van Winkle.
no.
I can go my entire life. I've never tasted it and be content because I didn't spend that kind of money on something that I didn't need.
I've done it twice. I've spent on Pappy. It's been an awesome experience each time, but I'm never going
But
to buy
not
a
on
bottle.
a bottle.
No, I bought
No.
tastings. I bought a $50 pour where I got it for Braden. It was the 12-year. He enjoyed that pour at a cigar bar with him and I. And then the other was I did a tasting of 10, 12, and 15. And for a tasting of the 10-year, the 12-year, and the 15, that was a total of about $70.
Wow.
So that's as much as I'll buy for a Pappy product. I will not ever buy a bottle, but it is a cool experience to try it and just to compare it. And believe it or not, as good as it is, I can still get whiskey to me that's comparable for $80 or under, and that's why I stick with that.
And see, I can't believe we're talking about $80-$100 bottles of whiskey. I mean,
Yeah.
if I was trying to get, $20-$25 and just having them drag that money out of my hand while we're making the exchange, I mean,
I
but
didn't
good
have
quality
that
whiskey.
problem.
Yeah, no, you haven't. You've never
But
had
see,
that
that's
problem.
why I'm now. I've gotten some pretty good bottles. Most of them, I have 2 or 3 that are $80, but most of them are honestly 60 or under for a bottle.
Still, that's a lot of money.
It is a
But
lot.
that
But
lasts
now,
a very long time.
right, that, and I search for the diamonds in the rough that I like to say that's anywhere between $15 to $30 that people are going to be like, they'll pass on it because it's so cheap. But I find it to be equivalent or maybe even a little better than a $50 bottle. And those are the ones that I search for now.
So when you took your brother drinking and smoking cigars, is that the place that he pointed out and he said, "Oh,
Yes.
let's go"?
Yes.
He wouldn't take me to
A cigar bar?
A cigar bar.
No.
Yes.
Not with mom.
And
I'll say my favorite is probably going to be, I'm gonna cop out with a generalization here. Anything that's bottled in bond, because it's regulated in a certain way. It's 100 proof. It's good, solid drink, no matter what. I've never had a bad bottled in bond to date. Knock on wood. That doesn't mean it can't happen, but yeah, that's my favorite whiskey. Hers is the very old Saint Nick 12 year. And Dad, what's yours? What are you
in
gonna
sip
settle on?
form. Very little
sip.
sip.
God, I don't know. I sure like that Angel's Envy rye.
It's pretty good.
It's good stuff. But here's the issue. Here's how you can tell that mom is a real whiskey drinker. Before, she'd smell it, she'd go
That's true.
Oh,
It's true.
like that, and now she'll smell it and she'll go, so it's a good whiskey if she just does that.
No, it's funny though, because she is more willing to grab them
She is.
and smell them now. She's like, "Oh, what's that one smell like?" And she does make the face, but she's more willing to do it now, which
Yep.
is
Before
a
there was
huge
no way.
leap forward in amount of improvement.
And getting her
So,
to buy the right whiskey before was
oh my gosh. I
yeah,
couldn't
You have 2
remember the
boys
name.
now. You don't have to do that. We just tell us
Yeah.
what
I
you
know.
want.
but she used to bring me whiskey,
Like,
trying to be nice.
Trying to be nice. And like, we're gonna have a family gathering. I'd try to
Yeah.
buy a bottle
and we couldn't afford.
they could have
Yeah.
a drink after dinner kind of thing. And I'd always buy the wrong one.
She'd bring home Jim Beam.
And he
I'm
didn't
like-
like Jim
It's
Beam.
like,
Jim Beam
No.
bottle and bond is pretty good. Jim Beam Devil's Cut is pretty good.
but
Jim Beam,
well, yeah, that
Yeah.
Devil's Cut
Double Oaked
was
is good. I've found a couple good Jim Beam
Yeah.
products. So
But
So,
anyway,
don't be hating.
yeah, that Jim Beam Devil's Cut. You're right. That was good. I was surprisingly
you
good.
liked that
Anyway,
more than you realized.
I was drinking a lot of Jack Daniels at the time for years because it was a
I
little
can't
bit
do it
better.
anymore.
And so she'd keep bringing me Jim Beam that was just the low shelf, and I'm like, "How are you doing?" She goes, "What's a man's name?" And so then I thought, okay, let's.
So is Jose Cuervo.
So we got her rhyme so that she could
So is Evan
remember.
Williams.
Evan Williams, yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
George Dickel, and
I've
so,
never heard of that one.
Yeah,
Tennessee
So
Sour
she
Mash, just like
finally I had to
Jack
tell her.
Daniels.
I have a friend. Go ahead, finish that little rhyme.
Okay, now I can remember. I have a friend. His name is Jack. He lives in a bottle with a label that's black.
There you go.
Label colored black, but yeah.
A label colored
black, and
And so that's the only way I could remember. So I'd be at a liquor store and I'd be, I have a friend. And then I'd be looking, oh, there it is. and then I'm not savvy on sizes. And so I'd go up to, because it'd be behind the counter and I'd say, I need that bottle. Not the really big one, not the really small one.
Not
but
the handle, not the
that-
375,
that
but
one.
the 750. Yep.
And is that a fifth?
Yep, that's a fifth.
Okay.
750 is a fifth.
And he'd say, a fifth. And I said, yeah, it must be. It's that size. I'm sure they just laughed at me.
Well, and for me, the ones that I tend to drink more often, I'll grab a handle because it's cheaper overall. You'll shave $5 to $10 per bottle, essentially.
Right.
If you do it that way. But
And is a handle 2/5?
it is. It's
Okay.
it's 1.5 liters is what
It's
it is.
1.5
A
liters,
fifth
okay.
is 750 milliliters, so 3/4, and then 375 is half of that. So you're looking at a third, almost a fourth.
see, the old days, you'd get a half pint, a pint, or a fifth. And then this metric
Yeah.
crap started coming in
Yeah, and
with our whiskeys.
and you couldn't get those really big bottles like I've seen now.
Handles are
You
more
could
and
get
more
a gallon.
popular, particularly with the bigger stuff. So like I've got a couple handles. I've got 1792 small batch, which is a large production. Makers, which is a
Mhm.
large production. Knob Crick, which is in large production, and then
Yeah,
the
I've seen
last
big
one is
bottles of that.
Larceny, which is also a large
Larceny's a
production.
good whiskey too.
So yeah, and those are all my daily drinkers, so to speak. So if I'm gonna normally grab a bottle, it's gonna be one of those four because it's a large one. Now is it a little hefty? Yeah, but what's funny is I can pay $60-$70 for one of those bottles, and that's two of any of those two
Little
bottles put
ones.
together, and some of those are still cheaper than one of my more expensive bottles. So it just
Mm.
it depends on what it is.
Well, and to be clear, we don't do any whiskey drinking until the work is done.
Yep, that's always the rule. So with that, we'll take that conversation, put it out to pasture.